traverse every hardship we curse. We cling to the roots and the sword. Every river we cross, every scent that is lost. We walk here by the graces of God. We are one.
We are one.
With the lay of the land. We are two. Tired to rest. We are 3 miles from yesterday's camp. I can't take much more of this. We chase the 4 winds that blow our 5 senses alive. 6 degrees separating each life. We know 7 days in a week. We 8 well on each peak. 9 lives left to live. 10,000 acres so grand. We are one.
We are one.
With the lay of the land. We are one.
We are one.
With the lay of the land. We are one.
We are one.
With the lay of the land. We are one. With the lay of the land. Though the treetops grow tall and the tempers grow short, we stand terra firma in hand. Though the waters are deep and the workers are short, we stand solid like Kruger hands. We are one.
We are one.
My name is Loesser Clerk. This journal shall be a record of my travels. 200 years ago, while searching for the Northwest Passage, William Clerk landed on an unnamed isle north of Devon Island, Nunavut Province, Canada, in the shadow of the North Pole. Cornwallis was captivated by this harsh land and chose to make this frozen tundra home. For generations, my ancestors have lived hearty lives of meaningful isolation. For years, plans have been made to seek a Southeast Passage. Now that I have come of age, I shall endeavor to carry out this harrowing journey. This journey will take us through Lancaster Sound, around Baffin Island, through the Fox Basin, into the Great Bay of Hudson. We shall land at Polar Bear Provincial Park and traverse the land of the Ontario to the fort at Thunder Bay. We will then weather the stormy, icy waters of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The most direct route will require portage through the UP to a small outpost in Escanaba. Following the Fingerland into the Great Green Bay, we will enter the Fox River, which I am confident flows directly to the Atlantic. While I am the leader of this expedition, my boyhood friend Gustav Loesser is my partner. He is an overly capable hunter, tracker, and woodsman, displaying skills with canoe, weapons, and meat. As children, we read by the Northern Lights and dreamed of the very adventure we have undertaken even now. With skillful command, he has been a fine quartermaster and general steward of our supplies. As we traversed Polar Bear Provincial Park, a caribou warrior named Claude by Bear began following our expedition. He has been strangely drawn to our small caravan, but prior to today has not summoned the courage to address us directly. On this fair day in early June, however, he made contact. Though we are unfamiliar with the caribou tongue, he has given us the strong impression that he would like to be our forward scout. We are optimistic that he will be valuable and an asset in communicating with the indigenous people groups we encounter. The boy and the dog were last-minute additions to our party. The boy's parents were killed during a penguin hunt when they were attacked by a leopard seal. The dog has been this unfortunate orphan's only companion. With hearts of charity and pragmatism of spirit, Gustav and I have decided that, though young, the boy could be an asset to our efforts and invited him to join us. He has shown himself to be handy with laundry and cooking. In the evening, Loesser has been training him in the ways of the hunter and general weaponship. The dog, a strange half-bred mongrel, has proved faithful, though we are unsure of his intelligence. With my ink and quill, I will venture to map out these unknown regions on our way out to the Atlantic. I am recording through word and picture the many wondrous unknown plants, animals, and species we encounter. To quote the great poet Artemis, "With pen shall they be tamed, and with paper shall they be known to all, but those who possess no sight." This land is wild and untamed. We have thus far encountered few people, but countless creatures. The waters are pristine and teeming with life. The air is alive with the fragrant scent of Kaukauna pine and Appleton fir. We frequently see both eagle and porcupine. Godspeed on our journey through this virgin territory. Our first encounter with the native peoples of this land occurred at the Cedar Grove near River's Edge at the bend called 900 Islands. We were hunting the animal that ransacked our day camp, and with natural prowess and keen olfactory senses, the dog was intently tracking a large beast, perhaps a cougar or a grizzly. Claude Bear, being the stealthiest of the party, led the way. As we approached the tree line, he signaled for us to stay alert. Breaking from the wood, we spotted two women scrubbing garments in the crystalline azure pools of the Fox River. Scanning the area for warriors and seeing none, we cautiously approached. Claude Bear advanced toward the strangers and made first contact. To our surprise, they spoke a rare, sloppy version of the King's English. They introduced themselves as Sack of Sugar and Sack of Corn. We made formal introductions, then asked if the women would be willing to accommodate our need to have our breeches and woolens cleaned. After 3 months of constant use, they grow greatly malodorous. They readily accepted our request and invited us to return when the shadow falls on the mossy oak. Women explained that while they wear native dress, they belong to no tribe, clan, country, or continent. They have each sworn a bold vow of living simply and naturally. I surely don't understand what this vow means, but they seem harmless enough, though perhaps a bit eccentric. It makes me ponder Jonathan Edwards' comment, "Only he who knows what lies buried within the bosom of every fallen creature can bear the weight of full disclosure." We returned at the appointed time and were greatly pleased at the general cleanliness of our garments. After completing the transaction, Claude stayed on, communicating with the women using his native tongue and caribou gestures that somehow seem to transcend the barrier of the unfamiliar tongue. I sense we will see more of this unusual pair. Yesterday, Loesser confided to me about his concern for our lack of weapons. In this land, threats abound, and we cannot afford to be careless and unprepared for potential hazards. The women spoke of a crazy duck hunter who barters and trades in weapons and goods, going by the name of Trader Jack. We found his rugged outpost near the North Land at the Sign of Currency. The women led us there. Trader Jack's cabin was filled with many wondrous items and trinkets. I endeavored to examine and sketch each unfamiliar object as a record of our discoveries in this new land. A third woman, Sack of Flour, who we had not previously met, has joined up with the party. She dresses in similar fashion and has also taken the vow. There are implements, odd musical instruments, jewelry, and a strange device we call a soul catcher. It captures images of whatever you direct it toward. The women have assured me that these handheld contraptions will not harm us. Nevertheless, I am personally concerned for the safety of our eternal wellness. This is my haunting question each night. In the capturing of my image, what is being lost? Claude by Bear was curiously attracted to Trader Jack's numerous axes and utensils. Just as Gustav is drawn to weapons, Claude by Bear seems to have a natural affinity for man-made tools. Claude by Bear sought a fair trade for a new bow, but his offer was rejected. He was, however, able to communicate with Trader Jack's dog and understood that there was no hostile intent. I do wonder how Trader Jack sustains a steady commerce. Gustav examined many weapons and also attempted a fair exchange for a handsome rifle. In addition to offering a stack of sundry items, he was even willing to part with his most precious possession, a skinning knife he calls Gretchen the Fair One, that was forged by his ancestors in distant Germanic lands. He also failed to complete a deal. Jack is a tough tradesman who would not be swayed by our appeals and offers. We left his cabin in a state of general dejection at our failure to commandeer improved weapons. However, I draw hope from the ancient proverb, "Loss is but the beginning of gain." As a measure of consolation, we sat and consumed bottles of some strange fire water.
Though this land is occupied, native fish flock and fowl were the first seen freshly with the eyes of eagle and owl. Though some pathways are blazed, fence, forest, water course were the first walking newly with the legs of booming horse. Oh, grab my band, pick any land, a rich land like this land, for this land is ripe for the picking. Take a look and I burn and stare, for this land is a place for lingering. Stake a claim and rename, fields, furrows, and fords are ready for naming and claiming. Grab a paddle, grab an oar, to the future we soar. Pick a land, any land, pick the land that's at hand. Pick this land, pick this land, pick this land, pick this land. Though obstacles will abound.
In light of the vast network of rivers and waterways in this region, most of our travel is by canoe. I have recorded the many sights, sounds, and smells of this network of tributaries in my sketchbook. After a morning of strenuous paddling, we stop to rest and refresh ourselves at a local alehouse. We are being followed by a man that they call Crazy Pierre. Frequently through our travels, we encounter him. Though he has not spoken to us, he appears to have no harmful intentions. He's an odd fellow, almost pixelated, who seems to possess a kind, childlike spirit. We also noticed he carries a collection of juvenile drawings with him at all times. The storeroom of the alehouse was filled with many unique items that we were quick to investigate.
Pick a land, any land, pick the land that's in hand. Pick this land, pick this land, pick this land, pick any land, a rich land like this land, for this land is ripe for the picking. Take a look and I burn and stare, for this land is a place for lingering. Stake a claim and rename.
Ascending a hand-hewn stairway, we entered an open dining area. This was a colorful place of great curiosity. Saka Sugar sampled and spoke highly of a splendid white powder of intense sweetness. Claude Bear found sacks of spicy buffalo chips, and Saka Flower admired local handcrafted bracelets. In the wild, we often drank chilled moose-hide wine from sealskin flasks, but here in the valley, these people drink a hot, dirt-like beverage from earthenware cups. I sampled the uncrushed seed that is made it from and found it offensive to my palate. However, I believe in heeding the mystics of the East who taught that life is like that which we put in our cup, sweet and bitter, soothing and inflicting. We must not shirk to sample every cup with all haste. Thus, having gained my composure once again, I spoke to a young proprietor who offered me one of these brown beverages he called the Red-Eye to Miami. My hair bristled. I sensed addictive properties to the drink. We do, however, continue to struggle with negotiating appropriate currency and payment with the native peoples. I offered him 4 skins of deer or 3 pelts of otter for the elixir, but he rejected my more than generous barter. And while he was quick to evict us, I persuaded him to grant us safe passage through his establishment. His tone suggested a hostile threat should we return. We have no intention of this, to be sure. Later that night, I found myself strangely unable to slumber. My heart was racing, my hand was trembling, and my innards were twisted in great discomfiture. I suspect the mysterious brown drink was responsible for all of these.
Though this land is occupied, native fish flock and fowl were the first seen freshly with the eyes of eagle and owl. Though some pathways are blazed, fence, forest, water course, were the first walking newly with the legs of booming horse. Oh, grab my band, pick any land, a rich land like this land, for this land is ripe for the picking. Take a look at our burning staff, for this land is a place for lingering. Stake a claim and rename, fields for the boards are ready for naming and claiming. Grab a paddle, grab an oar, to the future we soar. Pick a land, any land, pick the land that's at hand. Pick this land, pick this land, pick this land, pick this land.
We left the distant north with a 2-month supply of food. We have since depleted this and have great need to replenish our stores. The women spoke of a man who barters in victuals, edibles, and grog called Trader Joe. His cabin lies north of the river, near a dam called the Little Chute. In our travels, I have seen some well-stocked larders, but never have I gazed upon such an abundant variety of food. Trader Joe's was truly a marvel. I was struck by the cleanliness and brightness of it all. There were countless choices. And as is the local custom, all of our selections were placed in a hand wagon. There was, however, great division in our party as to the choice of foods. After a heated exchange, we split into 2 groups. We men chose hearty, meaty foods that would sustain us through the arduous daily task of man-hauling heavy packs. The women, however, frivolously filled their hand wagons with exotic fruits, vegetables, and other harvest of the land. Our time at Trader Joe's reminded me of the oft-repeated query of Napoleon. What mystery lies between a woman and a man that cannot be bridged by a good meal? Nary a thing but the choice of menu. At the completion of our exchange, it became apparent that our resources were not adequate to compensate Trader Joe for all the foodstuffs and rations we had selected. Rather than risk further argument and a permanent rift in our group, I decided we would make payment by indenturing ourselves to Trader Joe for the month of June. With great hardship, we toiled, cleaning, stocking, sorting, and performing other unspeakable tasks to settle our debt. In addition, we had to work a week in July to settle the taxation demands of our local governor. In the southlands of the Menasha, the women led us to a strange talking tree, where we spoke to a ghost-like voice about our need for food. We paddled downstream to a window where a man of the kitchen had prepared shaved meat and cut bread stacks in a pouch for us. Thankfully, he accepted the coin of the realm as payment. While we savored the victuals and oversized grog, we marveled at the wonders of this land. Most mornings, we begin the day with breakfast over an open fire. It is my responsibility to prepare the meal, but I don't particularly mind the work. I'm fondly remembering our village cook who often said of his labors, "Work you can eat is not work at all." Loesser has been working with the boy on the art of weaponship and targeting. He is a quick learner and has a natural aptitude for guns. This may prove useful should any harm or illness befall Gustav. We will be summering in the Dutch colony of Little Schuten, though having spent our lives in polar regions, we are having a difficult time adjusting to these warmer climes. The women seem unbothered by the rising temperatures. They often enjoy merriment and dancing in celebration of the Festivus Equinox Solstice. While we don't understand the strange statues of kissing children and windmills that adorn many Dutch properties, the Hollanders and their children have been friendly and often visit our encampment. Today we made contact with Crazy Pierre. Summoning my confidence and attempting to offer no intimidation, I spoke with him. We shook hands and he offered me one of his wax etchings. The sketch was puerile, but possessed a sweet innocence so often lacking these days. Later, we were viciously attacked by a small predator the locals call a coyote. His colorings, markings, and body shape are similar to a wild dog or dingo. Clawed by Bear attempted to communicate with the animal, but to no avail. It was only later that the dog seemed to reach an understanding with the coyote. Overall, our summering near the locks is proving to be a generally pleasant experience and time well spent.
Oh, grab my hand, pick any land, a rich land like this land, for this land is ripe for the picking. Take a look at our burning staff, for this land is a place for lingering. Stake a claim and rename, fields, furrows, and folds are ready for naming and claiming. Grab a paddle, grab an oar, to the future we so pick a land, any land.
Today, we explored the rugged terrain of the high cliffs. I grow increasingly unhappy with the inadequacies of the maps and charts I have inked thus far. The women spoke of a high vantage where a climber might gather an eagle's eye view of the landscape. I am greatly heartened by this news. I must privately confess that this untamed land has seduced me with its fertileness and varied topography. There is a growing desire deep within me never to return to the bleak and icy land of my birth and to abandon my quest for a southeast passage. But even as I consider my heart, it must be noted there is a growing romantic attraction between Clawed by Bear and Sack of Corn. I have seen the unmistakable glimmer of attraction in their eyes. However, as captain of this journey, I have done my utmost to protect the unity of the group and have cautioned Clawed by Bear to shield his heart against love's barbed arrows.
Claim and rename, fields, furrows, and folds are ready for naming and claiming. Grab a paddle, grab an oar, to the future we so pick a land, any land. Pick the land that's in hand, pick this land, pick this land, pick this land.
The climb was vigorous and exhausting, but the view was magnificent and even greater than promised. Our eyes swept the relentless horizon, savoring the sight of a massive freshwater body called the Winnebago. It was a sacred moment. But then, to my horror, Sack of Corn innocently waved to Clawed by Bear, who, reading only Caribou sign, mistook her gesture to mean, "Jump, I'll catch you." Deeply smitten, my attempts to stop him were fruitless. By Bear to the women's shelter by the river. I, having no medical skills, deferred to the ancient healing arts the women call homeopathy. Their methods involve a technique, though strange, called branching, and they use the application of herbal dressings to heal the wounds. With anxious hearts, we watched as Clawed by Bear went on a spirit quest where he was haunted by his ancestors' animal guides. dramatic healing. The women removed the poultices, but warned us of the need for Claude Bybert to remain branched for a fortnight until the healing was complete. We reluctantly consented to this request. We are indeed deeply thankful that our caribou friend's life has been preserved. While we men are hearty and accustomed to wintry gales, the women grow increasingly vocal in voicing their complaints about the cold as December approaches. We know that we must build a winter fort for protection, warmth, and defense. And while Loesser and I are fair hands at crafting shelters, Claude Bybert continues to amaze us with his constructive prowess. At every turn, he outmans us with superior skills and tools. Yes, reader, you do detect traces of jealousy unbecoming of an even-tempered man of science, such that I am. Gustav has constructed a cannonade for the perimeter and daily swabs them, though we remain unsure of what particular foes and threats we will face. The women and Claude Bybert actively pursue provisions to sustain us through the lean months of the winter solstice. Early spring. Today we met with a man to purchase a new mode of transportation. With the onset of infectious spring weather, our spirits are high and the desire to travel longer distances a growing need. He's a bearded mystic of deep spiritual conviction. Ofttimes we hear him mumbling scripture to himself. While under the sway of a particularly convicting sermon, he swore a vow of poverty. Accordingly, he must free himself of his most prized possession, a huge horseless carriage. He has rejected money and seeks only my most cherished belonging, a golden compass I call Herodias. This is truly the most difficult trade of my life. The horseless carriage is a sight to behold. The craftsmanship and materials are clearly foreign and of rarest quality. Our party, in particular, the women, are celebrating this extravagance and the newfound comfort in travel it will provide. This is certainly not my father's canoe. With deep diligence, I am learning to steer this waterless ship. The controls are unfamiliar but seem to be constructed in an orderly and logical fashion. Optimism is high and our spirits are at peace. We have charted a new course, but our resolve remains the same. With me at the helm, Gustav in the wings, the boy and the dog in the hold, the women in the kitchen, and Claude Bybear on the lookout, we shall continue to journey wherever these stone rivers take us. This journal entry is my last. I, Cornwallis Clerk, do hereby name the region we have charted Loesser Land. May Loesser Land flourish with commerce, trade, and prosperity. May our efforts bear fruit 100-fold. May our hardships bring comfort to many, and may God bless all those who need blessing.
Clocking each minute, measuring each mile, the Fox River is our full Nile. We are one!
We are one!
With the lay of the land, we are
Two.
time to rest. We are
Three.
3 miles from yesterday's camp. I can't take much more of this. We chase the 4 winds that blow up
5.
senses alive.
6
degrees separating each life. We know
7
7 days in a week. We
8
ain't well on each peak.
9
lives left to live.
10
1,000 acres so grand. We are one.
We are one!
With the lay of the land, we are one.
We are one!
With the lay of the land, we are one.
We are one!
With the lay of the land, we are one. With the lay of the land, we are one.
We are one!
With the lay of the land, we are one.
We are one!
With the lay of the land, we are one.
We are one!
With the lay of the land, we are one. With the lay of the land.